It is Tuesday, April 6th. I'm Sam Seder.
And I'm Lucie Steiner. Which one of these stories will you be talking about today?
The Democrats are preparing to finally raise some taxes, setting their sights on big multinational companies as Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen calls for a global minimum rate for corporations. Meanwhile, the doctor who pronounced George Floyd dead testifies that Floyd likely died of oxygen deprivation, striking a blow against alleged killer cop Derek Chauvin's defense. And lastly, the disparity between vaccinations in rich and poor countries is becoming more stark, as the U.S. vaccinates 4 million in one day, while Haiti lacks even a single dose.
You're listening to Majority.fm's AM Quickie, and these are the stories you need to know.
You heard it here first. The Democrats are actually going to try and raise some taxes. Probably not your taxes, however, unless you happen to be a millionaire or a multinational corporation. On Monday, a trio of senators in the Biden administration started unveiling plans to overhaul the U.S. corporate tax system, particularly focusing on multinational corporations and the highest earners in the economy. Biden's Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen also jumped in, coming out in favor of an international global minimum tax, which would help cut down on corporations who stick their headquarters in some backwater tax haven to save money. In the U.S., President Biden proposed raising the corporate tax rate to 28%, a 7-point jump from where it was, but still far shy of the 35% that it was before Donald Trump. And in Congress, Senate Finance Committee Chair Ron Wyden, fellow tax writers Sherrod Brown and Mark Warner put out a proposal that mirrored most of Biden's plan, but delved further into the details of the international corporate taxes. In other words, the details still have to be hammered out, but it appears that the Biden administration is serious about making at least some incremental gains on the laissez-faire, tax-cut-happy system Donald Trump enabled. Biden said, quote, "You have 51 or 52 corporations of the Fortune 500 that haven't paid a single penny in taxes for 3 years. Come on, man. Let's get real." End quote. The hope in all this, of course, is that a bump in tax revenue from big corporations could help finance Biden's ambitious infrastructure bill, which is expected to cost around $2 trillion. And we know for sure that the bloated corporations that got even richer under Trump certainly have that to spare. The emergency room physician who pronounced George Floyd dead testified in the murder trial for former Minneapolis cop Derek Chauvin today, saying that Floyd likely died of oxygen deprivation. Dr. Bradford Langenfeld's testimony put a major hole in the core of Chauvin's defense, which is sought to blame Floyd's death on substances in his system, and not on the fact that Chauvin knelt on his neck for 9 minutes. Langenfeld testified that Floyd's condition of heart failure was more consistent with a lack of oxygen to the body rather than another acute cause, like a heart attack. Later yesterday, Minneapolis Police Chief Medaria Arradondo took to the stand and said unequivocally that Chauvin should have stopped pinning Floyd to the ground. Arradondo has previously called Floyd's death a murder, so it's clear why the prosecution wanted him on the stand. But despite the wealth of evidence against him and the way that witness testimony is trending, prosecutors still have a tough task ahead to convict Chauvin. Reporting from the Washington Post this week showed that only around 1,400 officers were arrested for a violent crime committed on duty between 2005 and 2015. And when they were arrested, the conviction rate was just around 50%, even for the most serious crimes like murder. Let's hope that the jury comes down on the right side of that coin toss this time.
Majority.fm's AM Quickie is fueled by JustCoffee.coop. Just Coffee is a worker-owned coffee roaster based in Madison, Wisconsin that has sponsored the Majority Report for nearly a decade. Check out their collection of fair trade roasts, including our own Majority Report blend. And regardless of what you order, receive 10% off your order when you use the code MAJORITY at checkout. And all shipping is free. That's coupon code MAJORITY at JustCoffee.coop.
As the vaccine rollout roars through America, the divide between rich nations and poor ones is getting even steeper. On Saturday, more than 4 million Americans received a dose of the coronavirus vaccine, breaking prior records and showing just how quickly the rollout is picking up steam. But in Haiti, for instance, after a year of the pandemic, the government doesn't have a single dose of the vaccine available for its citizens. The Associated Press reports that Haiti, which has a population of 11.26 million, is slated to receive only 756,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine through a United Nations program. They were supposed to get those doses by May, but may see delays after missing paperwork deadlines. Part of this is due to the misappropriation of funds and corruption in the Haitian government, the sad result of a political crisis the U.S. had a large hand in creating. And the AP also reported that current political violence supersedes the coronavirus on most Haitians' lists of worries, something that's been reported in other unstable countries like Afghanistan. The fact that Haiti and countries like it don't have access to the vaccine, or for that matter, the infrastructure to distribute it properly, is an international scandal, brought on as richer countries monopolized doses early on in the pandemic by simply outbidding everyone else in the game. As those countries, including our own, start to approach normal again, the inequality already present across the world is only going to get worse, as impoverished areas deal with the pandemic for far longer than the developed world.
And now for some quicker quickies.
Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, of all people, offered a concurrent opinion in a court ruling on Monday that argued that social media companies should be treated and regulated like public utilities. Of course, part of his reasoning was that Donald Trump's Twitter ban was unfair. So you know what they say about broken clocks. Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, a Republican, vetoed a bill on Monday that would make it illegal for transgender minors to receive gender-affirming medication or surgery, in a rare example of conservatives sticking up for the rights of trans people. But his GOP-heavy state legislature very well may override the veto. Nina Turner, longtime surrogate for Bernie Sanders, posted a massive fundraising haul in her race for a congressional seat in Ohio, raising $2.2 million total and a whopping $1.55 million in the first quarter of this year. Nina Turner will be on the Majority Report tomorrow, along with two other candidates that you should know about. Check that out. Lastly, The Intercept reports on a surreal case of police hypocrisy where officers in Thurston County, Washington, fundraised tens of thousands of dollars from the public for one of their police dogs' medical bills without admitting that their own cops were the one who shot the poor pooch.
Quicker, Quickie.
That's right. You can check out the Majority Report live at noon at majority.fm or on YouTube or on our app or on Twitch or later as a podcast.